Hey Reluctant Preppers, this is showing you just how easy it is to purchase silver without paying any premium over spot price. You just go to sdbullion.com/rp, scroll down and enter the special code to get silver without any premium, and they'll mail it to your mailbox, discreetly packaged. Inside you'll find a beautiful 10-ounce bar of fine silver, and you are able to purchase that and have it and add it to your stack and your collection without paying any premium. And you're supporting Reluctant Preppers along the way. Thanks.
As a responsible person with growing concerns for your privacy and personal liberty, you want to know where we're headed and what you can do about it. We ask the experts what you need to do to take prudent and responsible action to safeguard your family's wealth and well-being, and what basic first steps will help you to be aware and prepared. ReluctantPreppers.com.
Welcome back, Reluctant Preppers. We're delighted to have this returning guest. The silver guru, David Morgan, founder of themorganreport.com, is back with us again here on Reluctant Preppers. He always gives us an inside and expert developed view and analysis of what's going on in the world, silver and financial markets. David, thank you for joining us again here on Reluctant Preppers.
Well, Donegan, thank you very much for having me.
We just have a few questions today, and we really want to get your quick read on what is going on with silver and its relationship to its long-term trend, short-term, and the cryptocurrency explosion that's been happening. So if we could just start with the silver itself. Despite these crazy low silver prices that we've seen for the past half a decade and some of the record demand that has accompanied that in recent years, why isn't the silver supply running out?
Well, what's happened is there's been a build in inventory above ground. There's been a lot of investment demand at the same time, as you said. But overall, I think a lot of people have lost interest. There's been sellbacks, and there just hasn't been a lot of interest in investment demand for silver over the last probably 6 months to maybe a year and a half. You can make an argument longer than that. I would counter that. But the price is the price regardless of how it got there. And price is commentary. When prices are moving up, people buy. Just what's going on in the crypto world. So that's the essence of it. We've got a huge increase in silver production from about 2003 on. We reached the silver supply-demand fundamentals where we actually got a buildup of above-ground stockpiles from 2006 on. And if you factor in just total inventory, which is all of the mining and recycling, that total amount of supply versus fabrication demand, you will see that there's been a buildup in inventories. If you add in investment demand, you could go by either the Silver Institute, which claims that there's been a deficit, but the reality is that inventories have been building from half of 500 million ounces, half a billion ounces, in 2006 to 2.5 billion ounces, and that's from the World Silver Survey, the same people that tell you that there's a deficit. So it depends how you define deficit. The point being is mainly the price moves on monetary demand, investment demand. Yes, industrial demand does play a part, but it's monetary demand that moves the market. The monetary demand has subsided. It's been usurped by the stock market, the cryptocurrency markets, and markets that are moving and have a lot of commentary. Interesting.
So for a value investor who's looking for something that's out of favor, that directs your attention back to the thing that nobody else is looking at.
Yeah, it is the most under-followed and unloved investments possible right now. And so this is a great time if you're a contrarian and understand how markets move to get involved.
And I was going to ask you about the industrial demand, because we've had Andy Hoffman and others on talking about the lack of growth in the economy, the economy not really being in a recovery, even though they claim to have been for several years now. I'm wondering if that has depressed industrial demand.
Well, I got to get my numbers right. If you go back about 15 years, industrial demand on the silver supply is 35% of the market. Now it's 50% of the market. Over the last 15 years, as I said a moment ago, the production of silver increased dramatically. So industrial demand did grow at a fairly substantial rate for a time frame of maybe a decade. But for the last several years, it's maintained basically the same flat amount of silver for industrial use, which is about roughly half of the market. Has not grown from that point over the last probably 6-7 years. The other part of that is, what does the future hold? I mean, a lot happens with the technological world that we live in with, let's say, electric vehicles. There's people like Cliff High, who's done all this work with the WebBot, talking about, silver demand for some new electrics. I'm not forecasting that this will come true, but what I am saying is that silver is the most useful metal out there for conducting heat, reflecting light, and conducting electricity. And because of those values, those very valuable properties of silver, it'd be foolish to rule out that there could be some new substantial demand on the industrial side that would really, make a lot of offtake for the silver market. I mean, solar obviously has played into this demand side, but not to the extent that was forecast in 2010. It's about half of what was forecast at that early stage. And Jessica Cross made that prediction or forecast, and she did an excellent job. In fact, she'd be at about 100% correct had it not been for the fact that, as anything in a human endeavor, there's reasons that you economize as much as you can. You want the most efficient product for the least possible cost that is going to do the job. And so what's happened in the solar market is that the panels have taken roughly half the amount of silver to produce the same amount of power or electricity that they used to, going back to, say, 2010.
You mentioned in passing about how demand from investment, monetary demand, drives prices, and that characterizes the market. You've mentioned for over the past couple of years that we are in a silver bull market. For a lot of the people who are participants, it doesn't feel like a bull market. How can we tell? And are we still in a bull market?
Well, boy, that's a tough one. I mean, it depends where you put the starting line, right? I mean, I can make my stock picks look like the best stock picker of all time if I start here and I end there. And a lot of these mutual fund companies and whatever do that, but I just digressed. The reason we're in a bull market is the lowest low that's happened since the high, which was 2011, May 1st or end of April 2011, is the low reached in December 2015. So now we're almost December 2017. And the low so far is a higher low. And that's the definition of an uptrend. I know it's a crappy one. I know it disappointed people. I mean, 2016 was a pretty good year. We got in, told everybody, please, build up your silver stocks and, resource companies that we favor in, late 2015. I'm pretty certain this is the bottom. So far, I'm correct. And we had a great run up until late summer. And I told everybody, this is it. Please trade out of some of your positions. And some of my own people said, and I'm free market. You want to buy and hold forever, that's your choice. But some of my own people said, I'm going to drop off 20%. I'm not going to sell, blah, 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 blah. But, many of them wish they had, because, we made gains in that 3/4 of a year that many people would be equivalent of buying $5 silver and watching it go to 50. 10 bagger. How do you do that? Well, you buy the underlying silver equities and choose the right ones. We had some that went from like $4 to like $40. And this, so anyway, I don't want to talk about how great we did in 2016, although we did. 2017 has been pretty rotten. But to answer your question, we have a higher low than we had in 2015. Therefore, we are still in an uptrend. Now, to be fair and honest, if we were to breach that low of 14 and change, if I get the exact number, but 1480 or something, if we were to get a low below that, then I would be wrong. And we're not in a bull market. It's that simple.
Now, the next thing we wanted to turn to is cryptocurrencies and their relationship to precious metals, gold and silver. You have in the past, and others have talked about the potential alliance, or more than an alliance. I mean, Andy Hoffman has talked about the alliance of cryptos and physical precious metals, both as being alternatives, viable alternatives, seeking to compete with the intrinsically unstable fiat monetary system that's doomed to fail. But you've taken it further than that and talked about a potential merging of gold and silver backed crypto. So we're going to get back to that question in a minute. But just for that first question about cryptos have been taking off, I was going to say like cruise missiles launching from the deck of a nuclear submarine, and silver stackers have been feeling like they're left standing on the deck of the submarine looking up at the sky and thinking, hey, wasn't that supposed to be us? So at what point do we see a crypto-like future for the trajectories that could happen for physical gold and silver?
Well, the answer is pretty simple, but most people don't believe it. And a lot of, let's say, experts in the commodity sector, I'll say, would disagree with me. And so far, they've been right. But it's a currency crisis. I mean, there's very few times in history, or in monetary history, if you want to think of it in those terms, where you face an event that's so monumental that it affects everyone basically at the same time for the same reason. And that is a destruction of the currency. In other words, a currency is shunned by the population, and it doesn't have to be 100% of people, it doesn't have to be 90%, it doesn't even have to be a majority. It's just that the psychological phenomena of I've got to get rid of this dollar because it's losing value so rapidly, or I don't trust it, or I don't trust what it'll buy for me tomorrow. When you have, and it doesn't have to be a hyperinflation, it just has to be a distrust of the currency. When that phenomena happens, then you will see these, gold and silver markets go into the stratosphere. They'll act like a Bitcoin for a price appreciation. However, you've got to remember that's basis a currency that's being destroyed before your eyes. And will, the dollar go to absolute zero? And the answer is probably not. I mean, even the Zimbabwe dollar went to not an absolute zero. It didn't have to. It got to a point where no one would use it or accept it anymore. So that's the event that's going to take it. And that's not a happy event for anybody in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not rooting for it. I really prefer it not to happen. I would rather have my 20% allocation and be wrong. And the thing about silver, it's more about good time metal than gold in my view. Gold's more of that scenario. Silver is, a high-tech metal, a green metal, metal that provides alternative energy and a lot of other things. And of course, it's still a monetary metal, not as dynamic a monetary metal as gold, but nonetheless serves that purpose. So, but I do think we're going to get to a point where things are so unwieldy in the financial markets and the monetary system that there will be some type of reset. And at that point, what does that mean? And I don't know. No one knows. Perhaps maybe the elites know, but I think even they don't know for certain. They probably have plan A, B, and C. The point is that will it be gold, gold in the equation in some way, shape, or form? The answer is probably yes. And will silver play a role in the monetary system? The answer is most likely no. But at that point, silver will become the new gold because it'll be the only decentralized available asset that has a monetary history to it that the government isn't, poking their head into.
Yeah, could you just make that distinction a little bit more clear? Because you just made a clear statement about how there's a difference between gold and silver, how centralized or decentralized they are, and how involved the governments and central banks are. Could you just spell that out for us so that we're all clear on that?
Well, I hope to. I can go long-winded on this. So the whole thing is that gold is really coveted by the establishment, even though they poo-poo it on NBC or MSNBC. The fact is that central banks have been net gold buyers for a long time, and they have it as a monetary asset. Silver has not held that distinction since 1873. But if gold is brought back into the currency system at some point, then silver will really be the only alternative that's not coveted by governments, shunned by governments, basically, ignored by governments. So it will be the new gold because it will be the only decentralized monetary asset that's served as money in more places and more times than gold ever has. And that will be your decentralized, small unit, high value currency that will be outside of the purview of anybody else. So it's really a decentralized currency for the people at large. And that will be the only one left.
And finally, if we could circle back to that question I had dangled out there that we had you on a couple months back, and you talked about the possibility of a gold-backed, I believe it was, cryptocurrency. Is there been any further developments in that regard, or what at least are the principles that you think people should watch for as opportunities in that space? Well,
there have been a couple gold ones attempted. I haven't followed very closely. I was referring to a silver-backed crypto that I'm somewhat involved with. I have put up some silver as a grub stake along with others. It's a pool to get this thing off the ground and started. But the main mistake that is made in the space, in my opinion, is there is no friction in the system. What do I mean? I mean that like a coin dealer, when you buy silver off the exchange, you're buying raw silver. When you buy a silver coin, you pay a premium for it because it has to be manufactured from that block of silver, stretched out and stamped and rolled and imprinted and shipped and all of that. And there's labor involved and there's energy involved. So there's friction in the system of getting a piece of silver to a silver coin. Same thing with a cryptocurrency. If it's silver backed or not, there's energy that's used. There's electricity that's used. So our form has friction, like standard whatever it is in silver, like 7% markup, 5% markup, whatever it is, and that's built into the system. Because without that 5% to run the business of moving electrons around, and then at a certain level moving silver around as well. For example, there'll be a limit, and I don't know what it is, but you could cash in your token for real silver, but not for 4 grams. It has to be, for example, a limit of 20 coins. For 20 ounces would be like the minimum. You could cash your cryptocurrency to silver at 20 coins or above, that type of thing. Well, it costs money to store it, costs money to ship it, all that. But that's built into the thinking process. I mean, we've thought this out fairly well because, it's a real world. You just don't get something for nothing. So that's the idea. So that's my comment about why some of these gold ones that I know a little bit about have failed is that they try to make it like a Bitcoin where there's basically no friction to it. But if you're going to deal in the real world of, a physical anything, be it tea leaves or cotton or rice or whatever, you're monetizing through the blockchain, there's friction involved. And you better build it into the system. Otherwise, you're building an absolute failure into your business model.
If people want to position themselves to participate in and benefit from this coming system that you're describing, where should they get more information? Where should they position themselves?
Well, the website's up, and I don't remember the exact URL, but the best thing to do is get on my web, my free email list. Just go to themorganreport.com and sign up for our free email list, because as this develops, and I will let people know about it and how to participate. Me, Dunnigan, I want to do it with my risk money and make sure it works for for me, 6 months before I recommend it. Won't be that long, but I'd wait, 3-4 months anyway, and make sure. And then I'd say, yeah, it works fine. And you did it before. So it's like, look, I took the risk because I don't really want to get hurt. But, once I get more information, get on the free list. As this thing develops, I'll be letting everyone know for free.
Well, very good. David, any more of your latest research and thoughts that we didn't probe that you'd like to leave with our audience before we let you go?
No, not really. I just, let everybody know I think we're going to sell off into the end of the year with both the metals. That's what I just gave out for our paid subscribers here just a few days ago. That's my current view. Well,
we'll be looking to get back with you early in the new year and look back and get your outlook for 2018. Do you have any sneak previews of what your thoughts are for a more midterm view of the next year? What we think lies ahead?
Yeah, I think 2018 will be a good year for the metals, commodities in general. And I think that there'll be a psychological shift probably by the end of the year 2018 where people are starting to question, the reality of the financial markets and what's really going on again, like we had in 2007 as a precursor to the 2008 crisis.
Well, David Morgan, founder of the Morgan Report and well-renowned silver guru, thank you always for joining us here on Reluctant Preppers, for sharing your wisdom, your research, your perspectives. We just appreciate having such an expert to guide us and give us insight that we otherwise wouldn't get. Thanks you so much for joining us on Reluctant Preppers.
I hope I can live up to all that, but thank you for having me. I do appreciate the interview.
Excellent. Thanks.